5G is like having a supercomputer in your pocket. Things that were never before possible become possible, and at scale.
What's up? Welcome to Same, but Mini, a bite-sized version of our podcast where we explain the most talked about tech buzzwords, only a little bit faster. I'm Mahan, and today it's all about the fifth G, also known as 5G. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Christian Guirnalda. I run Verizon's 5G labs and innovation centers across the country and across the globe.
So thank you so much for being on the show. This is a same, but mini episode. And before we get moving forward, I was wondering if maybe you could explain to us with an analogy, what is 5G?
So we fundamentally think 5G is going to bring the fourth industrial revolution. And, if you know the history about the industrial revolutions, there's the invent of the steam engine, electricity, communications. 5G starts to make things go even that much further faster, to the point where it's like having a supercomputer in your pocket. It's bringing broadband connectivity to places on the go. So we think being able to think about 5G is not just another G, but a shift in how you build applications, hardware, content experiences across the board is that transformative, where we're talking about the next industrial revolution. We think 5G starts to really change the way that applications get developed. And it's because of those things and why 5G is so different. It's the speed and then the latency at which the button you click and the reaction you get from that application happens. We call that low latency.
You said it's not just another G, and I think we've all been through that generation of you had 1G with cell phones, 2G was, I think, texting, 3G was let's actually get content online, 4G maybe was, okay, now I'm streaming Netflix at work on my phone. So you said 5G is not necessarily another G, but thinking through a lot of the stuff you're saying about lower latency, faster speed, how is that kind of proposition or value prop different than when we went from 3G to 4G? Is it that it's a perfect storm of other enablers, and so now it's exponentially more valuable supercomputer? Or is it kind of similar evolution that happened in the prior sequence of 2G, 3G, 4G?
Yeah, so that I think is probably exactly right. The perfect storm is that there are these existing platforms and enablers that are out in the market today. So you think about computer vision, or you think about mixed reality and augmented reality, or you think about the advent of 3D content or immersive content. Those are things that you could see today. You could see a Buddy Holly hologram or a Tupac hologram. I can put a couch in my room today, but it's not every retailer that's building those for their customers. So what does a supercomputer need, right? It needs data, it needs bandwidth, it needs processing power, it needs insights to feed in and off of each other, and it needs a way for that to get out to human beings to consume. And so the data comes from things like intelligent video or computer vision. If I wanted to use a mixed reality lens in a grocery store, I'd have to pick up every single box and figure out which one has peanuts in it, because my son has peanut allergies. In a 5G world, the ability to look across the entire aisle to understand what of the 100 products that are standing in front of me have that nut versus no nut, I can do that because my phone can detect and send back with high fidelity and low latency to say, these are the ones, and overlay in augmented reality as simple as a green, red, or yellow on top of those boxes. And you take that up a level to expand on consumer personalization and context. That might just be my preferences for what I like to buy. The idea that 5G can create those opportunities is something that we sort of get excited about. And so we think about those shifts as being things that you just couldn't do before to get to that supercomputer. And a supercomputer is a bunch of components that come together and work in unison. We think 5G and edge computing become that combined capability that we're all super excited about.
Looking forward, what I'm hearing is that 5G essentially gives you the capability, the capacity, the technology to build all these applications that essentially could not have been built today given current restraints with our systems. And I think a lot of that stuff we're talking about, which it would be great to even dive into some of these terms, is using computer vision in the supermarket. I think I love that use case. But how far away are we from that? Like, how is it going to make my life any different when it rolls out versus potentially the more 5-year vision of it?
Totally. I think, and we realize that too, right? We're super happy that we were the first in the world to launch it. We were in 35 plus markets last year in 2019. We're going to double that this year. But it's going to still be a combination of folks who buy and purchase and get 5G devices and phones. So the adoption curve for people seeing the difference is on both fronts. How do I get broadband when I move into a new apartment? Well, I can get it over 5G, or I can call to get a cable run into my apartment. But where we've started is understanding that that's going to take a progression of time for both of those adoption curves, and understand that there is an aggregation of folks to see what those capabilities can be in things like venues and stadiums. And so we've been working with the NFL and other partners to show those capabilities in scenarios that, and a lot of these are on the consumer side. During the Super Bowl, I can now stream data coming from the players and from the stats that the NFL provides in augmented reality onto the field itself in real time. And we built that for the Super Bowl in February in Miami. There aren't a lot of 5G native solutions out there yet. And so that's why we're trying to sort of prime the pump and show in a 5G native world, you can expect the performance to be this. And that might not be here for everyone today, but it will look like that because we're investing billions and billions of dollars to making sure that happens. And I've been playing around with the Snap camera that I can integrate into my Zoom or my Hangouts, and that's an example of a feature set that's using computer vision that I had to download onto my computer, or even on the mobile device. The lenses can only be a certain size because there's only so much memory. How do we take that to the next level? How do I take a landmark and make it that much more immersive for a student to see? How do I teach children about physics in immersive experiences and virtual reality with multiple people versus a textbook with ripped pages out that we've been doing for years and years and years since the second industrial revolution, so they can see it in augmented reality. We know that type of immersive content is just that much more sticky, and it'll stay with those students a lot more than it would with just a 2D book and text. And so we don't want to just take 4G books and put them into digital PDFs of the 5G world. We want to make a new kind of book that breaks the rules of what it means to educate.
That's fantastic. I think we've gotten so many different applications that 5G can enable that potentially were not able before. Just to take a quick second, I know we keep mentioning computer vision with a lot of these analogies and these use cases. Just to kind of break it out, computer vision, put pretty simply, is the ability for computers to recognize objects, images, things in real life, and actually be able to identify them, process them, kind of the same way humans would if they see it. And so that takes a ton of compute power, and if that's can be used for the story about going in a supermarket and seeing different food and understanding which ones have nuts in them, but it could also be used by driverless cars, autonomous cars, or for medical diagnostics, as you mentioned, monitoring different things out in fields, utilities. So that's actually a really bandwidth intensive process, potentially leveraging machine learning and artificial intelligence. And so 5G could bring a lot of those applications to life. And a lot of the other ones you mentioned, this idea of the AR on the football field is mind-blowing. A couple quick questions. One, for those of us who don't upgrade to the supercomputer, you do upgrade to the supercomputer, you have the 5G device, 5G service, but you're using applications that exist currently. How much estimated do you think that 5G would speed up that process.
I don't know. What's your favorite movie?
He Got Game.
Is it Jesus Shuttleworth, right?
Jesus Shuttleworth, exactly.
And Denzel, and was it Ray Allen? No, who was the player?
Yeah, it was Ray Allen. It was a Spike Lee joint. It was supposed to be Kobe, but it was Ray Allen.
So I got a funny aside about Ray Allen, but I'll tell you, in a 4G world, you download He Got Game in about 6 minutes. In a 5G world, you'll download in about 6 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Right? So, and that's the sort of table stakes portion of this. It's sure your Netflix will stream faster. You'll get 1080p versus 720. The bandwidth will be there. That's just sort of one of the 8 levers of it. But we actually did an experience with Ray Allen where we made a hologram of Ray Allen. We captured him in a volumetric stage with tens of cameras to show how to do a jump shot, right? And put that into a mobile application that you can go and play against him in space and time and learn how to do his jump shot. That's what we're talking about with 5G, where it's not just watching Ray Allen be Jesus Shuttleworth and dunk. It's how can Jesus Shuttleworth teach you how to go and do a jump shot?
Take me out 20, 30, 50 years in the future. 5G, you've mentioned so many applications of what this could do and will do. How does this, what's the most utopian, dystopian, futuristic, far out future of what 5G is going to provide?
I think 5G is going to unlock the next wave of human creativity. I really do. We are lucky enough to be around folks that are obsessed about making the world better, about changing the future of medicine and surgery, about changing the way that students learn, how brands can prove different types of value to their consumers. We won't kid ourselves to be expert at all of those things. What I love is when we come in and bring folks in the labs, it could be the CEO of a Fortune 10 company, it could be a student at a NYU or CUNY in New York. They have an idea, and the only thing that's stopping them is the constraints of the tools that they have today. And what we want to do is give them the tools that we know will be in their hands 5, 10, 50 years from now. I have no idea what that world is going to look like. I hope it looks like a utopia because my kids will be hopefully living in it and thriving in it. But I do know that it will be some of the folks that we see today taking advantage of those new tools to build the sort of world of the future. And I'm optimistic and hopeful that utopia is a real one and that we can have a good footprint on making some of those things happen faster.
Beautiful. That's fantastic. 5G is helping shape the applications of the future, whether that is augmented reality and computer vision, whether that's an easier, more convenient way to go grocery shopping, or whether that means downloading He Got Game in 6 seconds. Christian, thank you so much for joining us and teaching us a little bit more about 5G, which is like a supercomputer in your pocket. Thank you guys all for listening to a same but mini episode on 5G.
Thanks for having me.
Today's episode was written and hosted by me, Mohan Zanuzzi, produced by Corinne Javier and Lee Schneider, executive produced by Steph Wolf, music by Uvra. Thank you to our guest, Christian. You can find more Same on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you happen to get your ear candy. Thanks for listening. Spread love.
This episode was brought to you in part by BCG Digital Ventures. BCG DV builds revolutionary new businesses with the world's most influential corporations. Learn more at bcgdv.com.